Let's just say, as a hypothetical, you got into bourbon as a hobby, you fell down that same slippery slope that the rest of us fall down, you got into the uber craft brands, the story behind the brands, you started drinking fantastic bourbons from these craft distilleries. I bet you forgot about these 5 bottles that I think are fantastic, and they're all less than about 50 bucks a piece. Let's talk about it. I want to start with a disclaimer that I do love my craft brands. I just got so deep into it that I was looking at like only craft brands. And then I started trying some of these more standard kind of staple type bourbons, and I was like, they're only charging how much for this bottle? So that's what this video is about. I'm gonna give you a few flavor notes from each of them so that on your next trip to the liquor store, you can pick out which one it is that you want. I'm gonna save my favorite for last actually, but we're gonna start with a great one, Woodford Reserve. Woodford Reserve is a classic bottle for somebody to get when they're first getting into the hobby. It comes in at 90.4 proof and less than $40 in most places. It has some of those standard bourbon notes, but it sits just enough outside the norm that I think I would call it a little bit unique, and we're going to talk about why. Cheers. Oh yeah, so there is some of that classic bourbon-y vanilla type flavor, some of that barrel comes through, all that classic stuff. But what puts this a little bit outside the norm for me, which isn't common in this price range, is that it has a little bit of this creamy sweetness to it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like a banana flavor or a banana cream flavor. It's one way that oak flavor can kind of present itself, and to me that makes this bottle unique, and you don't appreciate it when you're first getting into the hobby, but looking back, it's a great bottle. It's a staple for a reason, and bonus tip, if you can afford its big brother double oaked, do it. Next up, we've got a bottle that I have talked about far too much on Instagram, Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. I promise the rest of the bottles aren't gonna be quite this basic, but listen to me. This doesn't get the respect that it deserves because it is so approachable in price. It's so inexpensive. But I've had this bottle beat $50+ bottles in blind tastings for me regularly, and I've talked to other people who have had the same thing happen. Maybe if it had a cork, people would respect it more. I don't know. The thing that consistently blows my mind about this bottle is the complexity. It has the standard bourbon-y sweetness, it's got some of those vanillas, but it's got like an herbal note to it. It's got a spice of black pepper. It's got some strong barrel backbone that comes through almost a little bit nutty, charred oak type flavors. Just so much going on in this bottle that it does not get the respect it deserves. 100 proof, and 20 bucks. I know it sounds too cheap to be good, but just listen to me, just give it another try, okay? This one took me way too long to catch on to. Knob Creek 9-year. For me, this was a classic story of I tried it when 100 proof was way too much for my palate, and it burned, and I just didn't like it very much, and then it took me way too long to loop back around and try it, because now that I drink 100 proof regularly, I'm a huge fan. Cheers. This one is super sweet at 100 proof. You get a little bit of a cinnamon flavor from it that to me kind of reminds me of candied nuts, because then of course it has that standard kind of nutty profile that a lot of those Jim Beam bourbons have. At 100 proof with those flavors for less than 40 bucks, it's an easy buy for me. And hey, if you're enjoying this content, patrons get a bonus podcast episode every month on top of all the other awesome stuff that they get. So go check out that Patreon in the description below. Barrel proof is almost the norm these days, but we forget to pay our respects to Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This is probably the first barrel proof or cask strength bottle that I ever bought, and it just has so much flavor. It's just, well, you're about to find out. Ooh, the cork doesn't sound that great though, so my apologies there. Cheers. It's been so long that I actually forgot how much I like this. This has a ton of baking spice, peppery spice, a little bit of like a punch out of the glass. I'm not gonna lie to you. But then there's also like this nice citrus sweetness, this little bit of creaminess that mellows it out. It makes it a little bit sweeter. So you get this really strong balance of sweet and spicy. There's a good amount of sweet, there's a good amount of spicy, and it just has this dichotomy that's really nice and complex. I feel like most barrel proof or cask strength offerings out there these days, they're 60 bucks or more. This is 50 bucks in my state, it's 50 bucks or less in a lot of places, and it's just a great deal on a flavor bomb. Before we move on to my personal favorite, I need to ask you to hit subscribe, ring that notification bell if you're enjoying this content, because it really helps. So let me give you a moment to do that while I grab this bottle. Did you do it? I hope you did it. Okay, we're gonna talk about Michter's US1 small batch. This bottle consistently impresses me in blind tastings. I've had this beat Blanton's on 2 separate occasions in blind tastings, and it's sitting on a shelf most places at like just over half the price of Blanton's. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed by it. And it just has that real satisfying cork sound to it. Some of these bottles don't, but hey, I'm not gonna hold it against them. That's awesome. Cheers. This is super sweet. It's brown sugar, maybe it's even a little bit of like a burnt sugar, but most importantly, it has a little bit of a savory element to it. Gonna make your mouth water a little bit, just umami flavor if you know what I mean by that. But I think what impresses me the most about Michter's small batch is just how clean it is. It's not offensive, it doesn't have too much alcohol flavor or burn or kick to it. Plus, it's nuanced, it's complex, and it's sitting on most shelves for less than 50 bucks. Come on. Comment any bottles that you think people are forgetting about too quickly, and thanks for watching Whiskey Noobs.